Join me as I dive into the EU's latest decision to ease CO2 emission targets for automakers and see if I can uncover what this really means for the future of our planet. Hi, I'm Leslie Walker. Welcome to Q's Fleet News, the place where you get your fleet news in 7 minutes. The European Union has recently made a significant decision that's sending shockwaves through the automotive industry. In an unexpected move, the EU has announced plans to give automakers a break on CO2 emission targets, effective immediately. But what does this mean and why should we care? The decision is sparking heated debate among environmentalists, industry leaders, and policymakers alike. On one hand, automakers are likely breathing a sigh of relief as they face reduced pressure to meet stringent emission standards. On the other hand, environmental advocates are worried that this concession will undermine the EU's commitment to reducing greenhouse gas emissions and combating climate change. As we explore the implications of this decision, it's essential to understand the context behind it. The EU has been a global leader in setting ambitious emissions targets, and the automotive industry has been under intense pressure to adapt. But are these targets realistic, or are they simply too ambitious? In the next few minutes, we'll delve into the background of the original CO2 targets, explore the reasoning behind this change, and examine what it means for the automotive industry, the environment, and EU climate goals. So, buckle up and let's get started. The EU's original CO2 targets were set in place to address growing concerns about climate change and air pollution. The goal was to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from new cars by 37.5% by 2030 compared to 2021 levels. This ambitious target was intended to drive innovation and encourage the adoption of cleaner technologies. But the automotive industry has been pushing back, arguing that these targets are too stringent and would lead to significant job losses and economic disruption. They claim that the transition to electric vehicles would be too expensive and that consumers wouldn't be ready to make the switch. The EU has been under pressure to reconsider its targets, and it seems that they've listened. But what exactly has changed, and how will this impact the industry and the environment? Let's take a closer look at the latest updates on the CO2 emission targets. According to reports, the EU has agreed to ease the targets, allowing automakers to emit more CO2 than previously planned. But what does this really mean? Are we talking about a slight relaxation of the rules, or a complete overhaul of the system? The EU claims that this change will still allow them to meet their climate goals, but environmental groups are skeptical. They argue that this concession will lead to increased emissions and undermine the EU's credibility on climate issues. Official statements from the EU and automakers have been scarce, but we do know that the industry is welcoming this move with open arms. Volkswagen, for example, has stated that this decision will give them the flexibility they need to invest in cleaner technologies. BMW has also chimed in, saying that this change will allow them to focus on developing electric vehicles that are more appealing to consumers. But what's missing from this narrative is the environmental impact of these decisions. As we analyze the implications of this change, it's essential to consider the bigger picture. How will this impact the EU's climate goals, and what does it mean for the environment? Can we really trust the automotive industry to self-regulate and prioritize the planet over profits? The EU's decision to ease CO2 emission targets sends a worrying signal about their commitment to addressing climate change. It raises questions about the integrity of the system and whether policymakers are willing to stand up to industry pressure. If we're serious about reducing emissions and meeting our climate goals, we need to be honest about the sacrifices required. The automotive industry needs to take responsibility for its role in the climate crisis, and policymakers must be willing to hold them accountable. As we move forward, it's crucial that we keep a close eye on the industry's progress and hold them to their promises. The EU's decision may have given them a temporary reprieve, but it's up to us to ensure that they don't get complacent. We need to hear from EU officials, automotive industry leaders, and environmental advocates to get a better understanding of what's at stake. As we delve deeper into this issue, it's clear that there are no easy answers. According to Frans Timmermans, the EU's climate chief, the Commission has always been clear that our climate targets are not up for negotiation. But it seems that the EU has indeed negotiated away some of its ambition. We also need to hear from industry leaders like Oliver Zipse, CEO of BMW, who claims that this decision gives us the confidence to invest in electric vehicles and sustainable mobility solutions. But what does this confidence mean in practice, and will it translate into real action? Join the conversation and share your thoughts. Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to Q's Fleet News, the place where you get your fleet news in 7 minutes. I'm Leslie Walker. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.